Hello. So I'm in Australia right now. I'm in my hotel room, and the only piece of kit I brought with me is this guy because it's portable, and I said that was going to be my traveling kit. And I also brought one of these because, well, you know why.
I wonder if the Deluge FM implementation is any good. How does it work anyway? What is FM synthesis? Okay, so let's talk about the basics. In its most simple form, FM takes a single oscillator, called a carrier, and controls its frequency with a second one, the modulator. There's also modulation feedback, where the output of the carrier or the modulator is used to modulate itself. With oscillator 1 and 2 acting as carriers and 2 additional modulators, the Deluge supports up to 8 different configurations, or algorithms. Unfortunately, the modulators are always wired up to control both carriers at once, and you only have the existing pair of envelopes and LFOs to share between all 4 oscillators, so it's not going to be as flexible as a classic 4-operator FM synth, but it's still pretty good. So to me, the best way to visualize what FM does is to use a spectrum analyzer, because it clearly shows the additional harmonics created by the frequency modulation process. As I increase the modulation amount, the carrier contains more and more harmonics, which makes the timbre brighter and more buzzy. The other thing that's important to understand with FM synthesis is the concept of modulation ratios. Harmonic overtones are created based on the ratio between the carrier frequency and the modulator frequency. And musically pleasing overtones are based on simple fractional ratios like 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 5, and so on. And this is why, in my opinion, the Deluge's FM instrumentation becomes harder to work with. The Deluge lets you transpose the operators as if they were just another oscillator using semitones and cents, which makes it harder to get real fractional ratios between the 2 frequencies. One of my favorite use of FM synthesis is for that classic clean bass. So let's see how close I can get with the Deluge. The first step is to get the volume envelope right. For natural sounding bass, you want a fairly fast attack, a very long decay, no sustain, and a relatively short release. The next step is to add some modulation from operator 1, to give the sound some bite but not too much high end. And dropping the frequency by half, which shifts the fundamental down by an octave. We also want to make the higher harmonics decay faster than the fundamental tone to make the timbre more muted over time. This is done by using the Deluge's modulation matrix and assigning the FM operator 1 to envelope 1. We also want higher pitched notes to appear brighter than lower pitched ones, so we'll also align the note. Now that we have the body of the sound, let's add a second component that gives the attack a bright, noisy component. I'll use the second envelope to create a very fast decay and release. By using a transpose ratio of 1 to 16, we'll create a dense series of overtones that will quickly die off once we modulate operator 2 with envelope 2. Next, we can increase the feedback on operator 2 to make the overtone series sounds noisier and more metallic. And we'll also modulate the feedback with the second envelope. Lastly, we can make the sound even fatter by using oscillator 2 as a second carrier, which will automatically get modulated like the first, but because we'll transpose it up by 2 octaves, it changes the ratio between that carrier and the operator. In fact, it'll actually work as a sub-oscillator. Finally, I'll assign oscillator 2 to the inverse of envelope 1, which will increase the volume once the sound is decaying. And there we go. So let's see what we have. And I'll just randomly play with stuff because we're done and I'm gonna have fun.